South Africa, listen carefully, because the story that General Khumalo has been talking about for the last 2 days in front of the Madlanga Commission has all the elements of a movie. And I think if they pitched it as a movie, people probably wouldn't believe it because they didn't think it could be true. Now, this has police interference, it has shadowy phone calls, cartel connections, and two mysterious men, one known as Mr. Boy Mthethwa, another one known as Shadrack Stewart James. And it starts off, so we're going to start off with recapping the testimony from yesterday and today. I wanted to combine it into a bit of a longer episodes, and we're going to start off with what happened on the day of KT Molefe's first arrest. So this happened on the 6th of December. Witness A has gone to go arrest KT. Witness B has gone to go get lucky at Transnet, and witness C is at Kat's house looking for Jerry, who has been kidnapped. And what we know is that they did this at the same time. This is a common tactic in police. You want to hit everyone at the same time so that they don't get rid of evidence, so you can seize everyone's electronics, especially if you think that people are involved in like a cartel or organized crime or a bigger group. And then while they were on the scene, while witness A was on the scene of KT's house, remember a bunch of hawks pitched up. There was Captain Kruger who was allegedly shouting. There was that helicopter that they can't send to the Eastern Cape flood victims, but they can send to KT, was going over the house. And then there was this Mr. Mthethwa who came. We don't know if he is a relation to Nathi Mthethwa. I would discourage speculation until we know more. But what we do know is that he came onto the scene of the arrest, and he basically said that, hey, I'm KT's brother. And he was almost like throwing his weight around. That's the impression I get. And he was saying, I'm the one who actually phoned the head of the Hawks, General Mbutu, in order to call you here. I'm a big man. That's the impression I was getting from the testimony, triggering this chaotic response. And now the Hawks officers, they were talking to each other, and even in their group chats, they pointed him out because they were annoyed, because they said, like, this is the idiot that sent us to go and, you know, pitch up here like fools, when this is essentially legitimate an operation. And they even had a group where they pointed him out with a photo. Someone had taken a photo of him and they pointed him out. And here's where it gets worse, because we know, according to General Khumalo, that Godri Labia, he's the name who's been popping up a lot for interference, head of the Hawks, allegedly sent KT's address to the Hawks so they could investigate. Now, this information lands in the middle of the Madlanga Commission, where witnesses describe deep interference into police work. And every time you seem to want to get closer to where the cartel is going, you get interfered with. So we've seen this with witness A, with witness B, right? Is that they start investigating and they try to get bribed by the envelope story, when Shibiri called them into his office and said there's one envelope for them, one for the magistrate and one for the prosecutor. And they didn't want that. And then they started to get threatened. And when they still carried on, then cases were opened against them. Remember, witness B had a kidnapping case opened against her because she took the ballistics officer to the lab in order to, get the report that was deleted. How much dodgy stuff is going on here? And we know that General Khumalo testifies about witness A and witness B. Remember, the prosecutor wrote to him saying that witness A and witness B, they need protection because witness B was ridden off the road almost. She was getting threats at the robots. I mean, if you haven't listened to any testimony in the Madlanga Commission, go listen to the end of witness A and witness B's testimony. You can hear the emotion in their voice when they say what they have been through. They have been through a lot. These people are unknown heroes in South Africa. They are unsung heroes. We don't know their identities. We might never know. But despite everything that was thrown against them, they carried on. And this is why we are here today. Now, we also know that General Khumalo was also speaking about the PKTT. We know this is a very highly effective unit because it's prosecutor driven. So why does this mean that it's effective? So they have a prosecutor on the team, they have a ballistics expert, they have a digital analyst, they have a crime scene investigator, they have a few of them. They have experts in all these fields. And the prosecutor comes with them and says, listen, for a conviction, I need this, this, and this. And they say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And they go and they get it. This is why this unit is so effective. And we're basically talking now about this level of interference that is occurring, because General Khumalo would say what happened with the Hawks was interference. What happened with Mr. Mthethwa coming onto, KT's arrest was interference. The helicopter was interference. This was all interference that was occurring in a legitimate operation. And these people were allegedly being sent by people in charge, people in high positions of power within the police. Now, we're also going to talk a little bit about cats. I love to talk about the cat. So we know that police received an urgent phone call that Jerry Bashuga is that kidnapped businessman. I've done a few episodes on him. He is allegedly also tied to this cartel in some way. You remember, Kat told us that Jerry owed him 5 million rand for buying he wanted to buy a substance machine. I can't say the proper word, but it rhymes with rug, if you know what I mean, for rugs. And he to process the rugs more efficiently because he was in trouble. So we've always known that from following Jerry's interviews from his surviving family members, his mom, we always know that Kat and Jerry were friends. I've made this connection really early on in my TikToks. And what we also know is that I think there was some sort of falling out, because there has been suspicions that Jerry was in fact being held by Kat. And remember, when Witness C arrived at Kat's house looking for Jerry, he just encountered that foreign national individual in the one room. And instead of curtains, because Kat was living in a palace with our taxpayer money, that is our house, we should all go and move in there anyway. He was living in this palace, and then on the rail, instead of every other room had curtains, but on that rail was a sheet that is similar to the one that was seen in Jerry's kidnapping videos. So from my understanding, what I think is that someone tipped Kat off that Witness C was coming, and then they moved Jerry as soon as possible. And I don't know what they did with Jerry. I don't know if he's dead. There's been no confirmation that he's... Now, the person who is suspected to have tipped Kat off is someone who is known as a Hawks member by the name of Zungu. Now, remember when Kat was, his phone was confiscated in prison? Well, there were a few numbers that were found on that phone. One of this is channel favorite, and we've had a day named after him, November the 4th, Brown Mahotsi Day. We found his number on Kat's phone in prison. And there was also a number related to Zungu, which is a member of the Hawks, that was discovered on Kat's phone. So the link here is perhaps Zungu realized that they were deploying operations. He's the go-between, the alleged go-between, and he's the one who told Kat that, hey, listen, Witness C is coming to your house, get rid of Jerry. Move him. We don't know what happened to Jerry. The medium says he is no longer with us, but this is unconfirmed reports. I really hope he is still alive. This poor man has been kidnapped for a very long time, since August last year. It's over a year that he has been in custody. Now we have to talk about the white bag, right? So another channel name that has been coming up, a Mr. F.E. Ngosi. And he is someone who was working in Shadrack Sibiya's office. He is known to be close to Shadrack Sibiya. He is thought to be a go-between. Now, he is seen on CCTV walking into KT's house 10 days before KT's arrest, and he is carrying a heavy bag. I'm going to show you images. Everyone has been speculating what is in that bag. I think it's money. I think it's cold, hard cash. Because remember, the others... that when Kat was talking about spilling the beans, when Kat was spilling the beans on everyone, he said everyone else was taking bank transfers, but Shadrack was only taking cash. He sounds as though he's smarter that way, because the electronic payments can be traced and cash is not as easily traceable. Remember, Kat had to drop 2 million rand off in a police dustbin for him at one point. So in my opinion, it's cash. And he was driving a car that was registered to the SAPS. It was a white BMW. And this car should have had a tracking unit installed in it. All police cars have these tracking units, and this one never had a tracking unit. It's a little bit odd, I think. But we're not done. We're not done here, because this is when mysterious man number 2, who went to go and, clear his name in front of the nation last night, which I thought was some very good PR on his point. I don't know if we're all believing it, but yeah, I guess, he was on the offensive, which makes me wonder, perhaps he's got something to hide. Now, this unidentified man, he has been called a lot of things. His name is Shadrack Stewart James. He's innocent until proven guilty, like all the rest. And he, I think, has been acting like some sort of bodyguard, according to General Khumalo. But he said on his interview that he's part of legal counsel. I wonder if he's got a law degree, because he went in when Shadrack Sibiya was testifying. He went into Parliament and he was sitting behind him. I'll see if I can clip it in. And we also know that when the police were raiding Sibiya's home, I posted that video when Shadrack Sibiya came on and said, "My colleagues, they are hunting me." He was very dramatic. It takes one to know one, right? He said that TV captured an unidentified man who was acting as a bodyguard, and that man appeared to be the same man, Shadrack Stewart James.
Stewart himself has been labelled as a serious convict or multiple offender with serious convictions against his name. He's alleged to be a close protector of the suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner and that of Shadrack Sibiya, and we saw his pictures featuring before the Madlanga Commission this afternoon, as well as a picture of him sitting behind Shadrack Sibiya when Sibiya testified before Parliament's ad hoc committee. Stewart, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
I think first and foremost, let's just get your reaction to those pictures. I understand it was your license picture from your vehicle, from your car license, your driver's license, that they pulled up and they showed at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon. But following that picture, we had bold text in red showing that you had multiple convictions against your name in that of carjacking, theft, and so forth. Talk to me about your initial reaction when you saw your name and your face beaming across social media and across media outlets across the country this afternoon. What was your initial reaction?
Well, look, I was kind of surprised when I saw it happening, because I know General Khumalo very well. And I didn't understand why he didn't explain to the Madlanga Commission that he knows me as well. So when he came out painting me with the paintbrush that he did, it surprised me, particularly about the convictions, which I'm not disputing, but I'm disputing the factual basis in which he presented it. So just to clarify about the convictions that he spoke about, the 18 convictions is part of one case. I have one conviction pertaining to those cases, and those cases are from 2011 and 2012. I was given a suspended sentence and a fine to pay. I've served the suspended sentence and I've paid the fine. So in our South African constitution, I'm a free man. I have no other cases that are pending against me. I'm not involved in crime syndicates. And furthermore, General Khumalo knows that. So the fact that he's chosen to mislead the Madlanga Commission leads me to believe one of two things. He's either trying to run a narrative, or he's desperate because everything that they've been painting previously is not tying up. So in the time period, the 2010-2011 period, myself and a number of business people were involved in buying and selling vehicles. However, we hadn't done the due diligence in checking on how the vehicles were acquired and the system used to register them on e-Natus. A whole host of police officers were arrested. There was a whole host of businessmen that were arrested, and some of us took plea and sentencing agreements to nip it in the bud and close the chapter. It was a lack of oversight on our side. We should have done our due diligence, but there were a number of people at the same time period caught with the same scam. However, the charges did, in the competent verdict, reflect theft. Some of them were linked to carjacking, but that itself didn't necessarily mean that we were hijacking cars the way in which General Khumalo tried to portray it today, that every month we were stealing cars or hijacking cars. I'm sure, as you can see, I'm very easy to recognize, and it doesn't really make much sense what he's talking about. But obviously, it's the narrative that he was trying to drive home today.
Shadrack individual, he personally looks like someone I wouldn't want to mess with. He looks like a bodyguard, but hey, maybe he just works out and drinks all his pre and takes his creatine, I don't know. But what we do know about him is that he is a convicted criminal. He has served a suspended sentence over what I think was described as a syndicate, in my own opinion. That is my own opinion. He has served his sentence, because I will let you see how he explains it in his own words. Now, before I go, I'm going to give you an update on Brown, but I just want to say something. What is this man's connection? I feel as though he is connected somehow. Did he go to protect Sibiya in Parliament? Or did he go to make sure that he was saying the correct narrative? We have to be asking ourselves these types of questions. Now comment below what you think, and I give these daily updates, so be sure to follow me. And another thing, an update on channel favorite Brown. So Brown, Mokgotsi Day, 4th of November. Brown is currently speaking to police. He has resurfaced. He is feeling better, because we had reports that he wasn't feeling well. That's why he didn't go to the police station yesterday. And he is giving them an account of what happened on Monday night when he Ubered to his own crime scene, where he Ubered to his own assassination, allegedly. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that when more information comes out. But in the meantime, like, follow, and subscribe. And also find me on TikTok.